Good afternoon. This is a hearing of the Chatham Conservation Commission being held on September 25th, 2024, in accordance with Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Chatham Wetlands Protection Bylaw and Regulations. My name is Karen Latin, and I serve as chair. Today's hearing is being broadcast live on Xfinity Channel 1072 and is being recorded for the on-demand archives available on the town's website. It is being conducted in person, by phone, and by video conference. The agenda, instructions on how to attend, and copies of documents for review are posted on the town's website. To all participants, whether you're attending by phone or online, please remain muted unless you have been recognized by the chair. When recognized, please identify yourself for the record. If you're attending by phone, you can mute and unmute by using *6. If you're online and you're not a commissioner, please keep your camera turned off unless you've been recognized. Indicate that you wish to speak by using the raised hand feature. So that we have a record of a quorum, I will now ask each commissioner to indicate their presence. Vice Chair Elise Gordon.
Present.
Janet Williams is not here. Cheryl Meservey.
Here.
Eric Hilbert.
Present.
Paul Johnson.
Present.
Bob Del Vecchio.
Present.
And I'm here. We have established we have a quorum. Before we begin the agenda, are there any announcements about any requests for continuances today? Catherine?
Yes, good afternoon. The following applicants have already requested continuations for this week. Notice of intent at 0 Stage Harbor Road and 0 Morris Island, maps 12A3 and 13A3, parcels Dyke-1 and Dyke-2 for the Town of Chatham, Department of Natural Resources, Massachusetts DEP SE number 10-3693. The applicant has requested a continuance to October 23rd, 2024. We also have a continuation request for notice of intent at 500 Shore Road, map 16G, parcel 3D A5 for Heather Butler, DEP SE number 10-3681, and the applicant has requested a continuation to October 9th, 2024.
Thank you. At this point, Assistant Conservation Agent Catherine Ricks will now lead us through the agenda.
Okay, we're going to start with our request for extensions. We have a request for extension to an order of conditions at 14 Periwinkle Lane, map 4C, parcel L7 for Alan Hankowski, DEP SE number 10-3344 for proposed vinyl sheeting to enhance existing gabions. Extension is requested to complete the handrails, 5-quarter decking, fill railroad tie stairs with 3/4-inch stone and loam, and reseed around the stairs. This is the second extension request, and it expires on 10/17/2024.
Thank you. All right. Do we have anybody here for this? We don't have any representative? Jeff?
I thought the owner was going to be online. It was the homeowner.
Okay.
requested.
Yeah, I thought somebody was going to be on. We don't have anybody? Okay. Well, I think it's pretty straightforward. This is their second extension request. It's too bad nobody's on for us. But
Unless we maybe delay it until later in the meeting.
yeah, we could. Yeah, maybe we'll delay it. All right. So I can't remember if we need a motion to delay it to the end of the meeting, or we just don't continue discussing it. Okay, Catherine,
Would it be a vote to table it till the end of the?
That's what I'm thinking. We need to table it until later in the meeting, and hopefully somebody can join.
Want me to make a motion?
Yes, would you please?
I move that we table the discussion on 14 Periwinkle Lane until later in today's meeting.
Second.
Okay, Paul?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, we're ready for the next.
Yes. So next we have a field change request. It's a field change request at 509 Riverview Drive, map 7J, parcel C6 for Scott Barrett and Kimberly Summers, Massachusetts DEP SE number 10-3687 for construction of access stairs over a coastal bank. Field change request is in regards to special condition number 2, which requires an elevation of no less than 36 inches above grade. Because of the multiple landings, each preceding stair flight would compound in elevation. A typical stair would begin 3 to 4 feet above grade, then return to near grade at each platform.
Okay, do we have anybody for 509? I mean, for, for 509. Again, no? Oh, yes. Okay,
Jeff is
go ahead.
raising.
Jeff? I assume that's Jeff.
Is he muted?
Are you muted? Because we can't hear you. Jeff, we're not able to hear you. If you are here to talk about it. Still not hearing anything. I don't know. If we can, I'm trying to unlight.
Well, should we continue that one
Uh,
later?
Okay, Jeff, we are going to table this as well until the end of the meeting so that you can figure out the issues and hopefully join us. So if we could have a motion to table this as well.
I move that we table 509 Riverview Drive until later in today's meeting.
Second.
Okay, Paul.
Aye.
Cheryl.
Aye.
Elise.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay. Let's see if we can get one, Catherine.
Okay, moving on
This is
to
gonna be a
the
fast
amendments
meeting.
to the orders. The following is a request to amend an order of conditions at 1070 Orleans Road, map 10K, parcel 23-A2 for John and Mary Boyle, Massachusetts DEP SE number 10-3611 for landscaping, construction of a boardwalk. Phase 1 addition of fiber rolls.
Okay. Is there anyone here for this?
Lindsay Cook has her hand raised.
Okay, Lindsay, could you please?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
And off we go.
Yes? Lindsay, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just here for Mary and John Boyle. We're requesting an amendment to the original order of conditions to allow us to install a small fiber roll array at the base of their bank due to erosion that happened sometime over the spring or late winter. We had a pretty bad storm that rolled through, and so we're trying to correct that, but not just Band-Aid it. They really want a longer-term solution. So we feel that the fiber rolls is the way to go rather than just erosion control blanket and putting more sand.
Okay, we have a few questions. Wait a minute, I'm trying to open the, okay, let me see if I can now share it. Sorry, I'm trying to get to where I can share something for you, your file. I guess it's not opening. Okay. I have a few questions to start. I was out there yesterday. First of all, there is a railroad tie wall at the base. That was not on the original request. So, here, I'm bringing it up. I finally was able to. Wonder if I can make it a little bit bigger for everybody. So where, I don't know if you can see my arrow, where this railroad, this fiber roll, you have part of the way, a retaining wall, brand new, made out of railroad ties. Can you speak to that? Because it's not on the original order or site plan. And it's,
Okay.
looks new.
I can absolutely try. This was slightly before my time on this project, but what I believe happened was originally it was for a raised staircase down, and there was something that changed at the end, so it was an at-grade stair. So it might be that it's not on the original and not on this plan that I used. I just wanted something to show where the 5 rolls and the backrest were going to be. But that I would have to check with the person who was leading this project at the time. But I believe that was the change that happened, was that it was an at-grade stair that went in instead of over the bank.
But it's in violation because they didn't get approval to modify.
Oh, okay, so I was under the impression that they had, so I will definitely check with about that.
So I don't think at this point we could move forward with this amendment, to approve it today at least, but we can discuss it. So that was our first thing. Given that that's there, why is a fiber roll needed along the beach, the sand and the bottom part? And what is the date that the mean high water was determined?
I will have to ask the engineer about the mean high water. I'll make a
Okay.
note of that. The fiber roll, basically what we found that once we did the restoration planting, everything went in well. It looked really good. It started to establish well. And then in the late spring, or early spring, late winter, early spring, a storm rolled through and it caused pretty significant erosion at the base of the bank. I felt that if we had some way to really secure the toe of the bank while in the proposal, I'm adding more eastern backrest, where it's present along the bank currently, there's very minimal erosion. It's doing a great job securing that toe and protecting the bank from erosion. So my goal was to get this eastern backrest established. And I felt that we could do that best if we did not a huge array all the way up the bank. The bank is in pretty good shape and the plants that are there are establishing. But if we did a little something to hold that toe, and then in this design, you can see there's what we're using is a planting shelf. So it just protects the plants, the backrest that we would plant along the toe for the several years while they start to really root and get established. And then behind the backrest, we were going to add deep rooting native grasses, including American beach grass plugs, which we would put in there to further stabilize the area.
But why is there a fiber roll needed in front of this retaining wall?
There's not a fiber roll in front of the retaining wall. I'm sorry if that's confusing on the on the diagram. We wouldn't put anything in front of the retaining wall.
Okay, because it does look like what you've drawn for where the fiber rolls go, it looks like it's going to that landing, which the retaining wall's right next to the landing. So you'd need to modify your plan, but I'm still questioning why you're putting fiber rolls along the base and, sort of, I get the need, and as the left side, when I'm looking at from the beach or the water up towards the house. The left side, I get, you got an erosion issue. The right side, you have erosion behind the retaining wall, and you have the other two fiber rolls even going behind the retaining wall. You would think the retaining wall would do its job. Am I not sharing
I
anymore?
think the storm that we had over the winter, the water actually came up over the retaining wall. I don't believe that that type of storm is typical. I think that in general, the retaining wall would do its job. On top of the retaining wall, we have a plan for erosion control blanket and more deep-rooted grasses to help secure that area. But the fiber rolls would start right along the side of that retaining wall.
Okay, so you do need to modify your plans so that it reflects it properly, because it does look like it goes all the way to the pathway.
Okay.
Let's see, do I have anything else? I think I'll let everybody else chime in if they'd like. Anybody? Bob?
Hi, I was out there yesterday, and the kayak rack was on the initial order. Is that going to be going in?
I will have to ask.
Okay. And also, there was a white skiff on the marsh, on the grasses. Does that belong to the homeowner?
I will ask that as well.
That shouldn't really be on that area because it's going to do more harm and create more wave action, you know, if the grasses in the marsh die. So that has to be secured away from those grasses in the marsh.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Catherine has her hand up, so I'm going to, Catherine, go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair, the one other item that we had, should be brought up is that you have the fiber rolls, but you don't have any nourishment over them. So how long would you expect them to last? Because fiber rolls will break down pretty quickly with the UV light and not being covered. And the ones that sit in front, like the ones that are seaward of the vegetation, are pretty much in the water. And so the consistent salt water will break them down pretty fast as well. So I guess I wanted more information on whether there will be nourishment or any cover, anything to make the fiber rolls last more than 1 to 2 seasons.
Yes, so the nourishment, the depth is at least 12 inches, is to cover the fiber rolls at all parts of the array. And then we're using erosion control blanket and then seeding to keep that nourishment there.
The nourishment over both sets of fiber rolls, the ones seaward and the ones landward?
Exactly.
Okay, because I don't believe that was in the request or on the plan.
Right, and that will need to be
It's possible I
added.
didn't. Okay, I put it in the letter, but I can add it to the plan, definitely. I will make a note of that.
Okay, anybody else?
I was wondering, when we were looking at this together, I was wondering if there was any consideration made to do the plantings a little higher up on the bank? If that would allow the fiber rolls at the bottom to not be on the high tide line, be farther up? Or is that not a possibility?
The backrest plantings,
Yes.
I was hoping to have the additional backrest plantings in the line of the current ones because I could tell that the current ones were really doing a great job in keeping the bank from eroding. So I have the backrest where the existing is thriving. My goal for higher up the bank would be more plantings of the beach grass and some panicum, some deep-rooted native grasses there, and then maybe we would supplement with a couple more bayberry or beach plum. But for the most part, my thinking with the Bacchus was it's doing a great job where it is. Let's plant more of it in the same area to help with this erosion problem.
Okay, thank you.
So if you're thinking you're planting grasses and maybe some bayberry, those aren't reflected on your plan or mentioned anywhere. So that also should be added.
Okay, I can definitely sketch something onto the plan of where we would be putting all this seed mix would be for, once we put the sand down, then we would seed and then we would use the erosion control blanket. I'm sorry if that wasn't specified in the letter. I thought, oh yeah, it is in the letter on the last paragraph, but I will definitely put it on the plan as well.
Right, because we use the plan to know where, where things should be placed when you come back for a certificate of completion.
Absolutely, that makes sense, and I can make those updates.
So, I mean, I do see in the last paragraph, you say American beach grass and everything. If you want, what you can do for that is, because it's a lot of it, just say, put in your construction notes that, how you intend to use that. You don't have to have them all pictured on the site plan. Just where they're going and how they'll be used. Okay?
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, but we are going to have to continue this. Does anybody, yes, Eric?
Yeah, it's just hard for me to get a picture until the wall's removed. That wasn't allowed, and put it back to where it was, and then come up with a better plan on where the fiber rolls go and the planting. Because the water could have gone around the wall, didn't necessarily go over the wall at high tide, but, I mean, applicants have a hard enough time applying for bulkheads. It's basically a bulkhead.
Yeah.
So, it should be removed before this goes any further, in my opinion. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right. So our meetings are October 2nd, which is next week, October 9th, or the 23rd of October. Do you have a preference? We're not hearing you, Lindsay, if you're talking.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
just looking at the schedule. I think the 9th should work. And that
Okay.
should give me time to talk to the homeowner about these different issues.
Okay, then we need a motion, please.
I move that we continue 1070 Orleans Road to October 9th, 2024.
Second?
Okay, Paul?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, Catherine, the next,
Okay, moving on to the notices of intent. The following is a notice of intent at 500 Shore Road, map 16G, parcel 3D-A5 for Heather Butler, DEP SE number 10-3681 for construction of beach access stairs within the pedestrian access easement located at 500 Shore Road. The applicant has requested a continuation into the October 9th hearing.
okay, then we just need a motion, please.
I move that we continue 500 Shore Road to the meeting on October 9th, 2024.
Second?
Paul?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, then we're on to the next.
The following is a notice of intent at 73 Kent Road, map 12J, parcel G4 for Jessica Guo and Philip Chu, DEP SE number 10-3700 for reconstruction of a pier within land subject to title action.
How are you?
Good afternoon, David Clark, Clark Engineering on behalf of the Guos. And Teresa Sprague is here
Great.
for if you have any questions on the previously permitted mitigation plantings for the house construction. So we originally filed this notice of intent to replace the pier. It's a licensed structure, being licensed, I think, in 1981. It's a permanent pier. We had originally proceeded with making repairs to the pier, but Anchor Marine took a look at it and felt that repairing it was not an option. The piles seriously deteriorated right at the mud line, so they all need to be replaced. So that's what the notice of intent's for. The pier will be installed in the same position, same number of pilings. The only change is that the float will be reduced to what was permitted under the 81 license. I think it's 2 feet too long at the moment. We did submit this to the Division of Marine Fisheries. They provided a comment letter regarding eelgrass. I was down there yesterday, and I didn't see any eelgrass within 20 feet of this structure, even on the outboard end of the float. So I don't think eelgrass is going to be an issue. Construction will be from a barge, and they'll only work when the barge is afloat on an incoming tide. And that work will be done in the wintertime, prior to the spawning season of the horseshoe crab, which was mentioned in the DMF letter. That's typically, I think, May and June. So we will be done and out of there long before the horseshoe crab season. I think that's about it. There was two file number letters from DEP. The first one talked about a water quality cert for the work that's being proposed, and I questioned that, and they sent a revised one, not eliminating the water quality cert requirement. So if there's any questions on the pier, I'd be happy to answer them.
One question I had was, in your application, you said that, I'm trying to find it. The existing pier is in substantial compliance with the license plan, except for the float, which is 2 feet longer than the 12 feet permitted. It looks like on the plan, you're still saying,
I'm calling it out as an existing float, but it will have to be
Okay, 'cause
reduced in size.
the plan shows it as being the same size. Oh, shoot. I just died. So we need the plan updated so that it says the existing float maybe will be, shortened by 2 feet. Or
Yep.
something, I know
No,
you're
I
trying to
understand.
show existing, but
Yep.
at the same time, this is what we're using.
Understood.
So that would be great. And then, what material, you discussed what the, materials are for, I think, the supports, but not for the actual pier.
I'm going to replace it in kind. It's all pressure treated.
Okay, just, I wanted to make sure that in kind truly meant what the material was and not replaced with some other material, but in the same spot. Okay, we do have an abutters letter, and it says, it's from Sandra and Joshua Shapiro, and it says, "We are writing in support of an application to be discussed at the Conservation Commission meeting on September 25th, 2024. Application is being made by our neighbors, Jessica I don't know, and Philip Chu of 73 Kent Road, Chatham. Ms. Guo, or whatever, and Mr. Chu propose to construct a pier in Riders Cove that is close to our section of the shoreline. As abutters, we have no objection to the project. Indeed, we are happy to see the area improving and wish them luck with the project. So I just wanted that to be noted. There was something about the land containing shellfish in the application. So do we need a letter from Shellfish? Okay.
That's
I
not
did
my
submit
decision.
it.
Oh,
Oh, yes, Crystal?
Sorry, I did submit it to Ted and Renee,
Okay,
and I haven't gotten anything back. I can ask them again tomorrow.
okay, perfect. Okay, just wanted to make sure we covered that. Anybody else? My computer died. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, it's a beautiful planting plan. The only thing I noticed there was, I know I'm a stickler about this, I saw an old silt fence there. Was that silt fence part of, there for the construction of the house?
yes,
Is that gonna be removed after the planting, or?
after the plantings have
Yeah, the only reason why I ask is
stabilized.
because I don't like this building debris left on sites. It's supposed to be left naturalized, and I just went to another site where they had a silt fence. It passed a certificate of compliance before I was here, and now it's on the beach, littering the beach, and the waves are taking it in and out. So yeah, so all the stakes, temporary irrigation, silt fences, trash has to be removed before the certificate of compliance. Thank you.
So, the other half of this, application is to install the mitigation plantings that were part of
Yes.
the order. If there's any questions on that, I'll try to answer, but Teresa is here. But we haven't changed the thing, on that. That was what was approved on the previous order. What happened was the house was delayed over a year in getting started. Teresa didn't get involved with the project till this past February, or January, and did the removal, the stabilization of the slope. And if you've been out there, the slope is very stable at the moment, and it's just waiting for Teresa to get back and install the plants as permitted previously.
Okay. It did look identical to what you had in the previous.
It's the exact same material.
Exactly.
Nothing's changed.
I don't know if anybody has any questions about that. Go ahead, Bob.
There's a dead pine, I don't know if Teresa is aware of that, but there's a dead pine right along the walkway down to the beach. And is that gonna be removed?
There were in total on the walkway leading from the swimming pool down to the beach. We had removed 3, 4, 5, there were 6 actually, pitch pines, large pitch pines that were dead. I thought all of the dead pitch pines were removed. There is one remaining just before where the old swimming pool was located. And I know that it was in poor condition the last time I was there. It was not entirely dead the last time that I was out at the site. So, but I have not been out there since probably early June.
Yeah, this was more towards maybe the middle of the walkway, leading down
Right.
to the stairway.
Maybe
So there's one more dead
These are
pine.
already gone.
Those are already gone, yeah, but I think this one was remaining. I will check that, and obviously if the tree is dead, it's right near the walkway, it's a hazard, and we would like to remove it. We are replanting back 8 serviceberry, 3 eastern red cedars, white oak, and red oak, and there's still a number of canopy trees left on the area, so, yes.
So you have more than enough plants then to cover it.
I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
we're putting in a total of, 319 shrubs, 15 trees.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay, and I just had a question about the pier or the dock, I don't know, which is which? Which is the difference?
Yeah.
As far as waterways is concerned, it's a pier.
Okay.
Anything that goes past the mean high water mark is a pier.
I noticed that at the beach, David, there's a void of eelgrass or what have you, right? Right
Yeah.
by where it starts.
Yeah.
Is that from all the wave action off the structure that causes that?
I look back on Google Earth images all 20 years, and it looks like it's getting better. So the previous owner was there for a number of decades prior to having the application for the pier in '81. So I think they probably just used the beach as a launching area till they got the pier. But I have no documentation of that.
Is there any way that area can be improved with plantings? And if so, would they remain after you planted?
I'm not the one to ask. I am happy Teresa's here today because she's done
We're
similar
happy
work. But I don't know if she's has taken a look at that salt marsh, so.
Are we looking at the area just below the wall?
But no, take a look at my plan.
Okay, yeah, I'm able to.
So there's a void on the salt marsh on the east side of the.
Okay, that's above the bulkhead?
Yeah, so there's the bulkhead.
Okay, below the bulkhead.
Below the
Yep.
bulkhead, and there's a void.
I have to be honest, Bob, I haven't taken a close look at that, but I would like to, because I'm looking at the date where David picked up the existing marsh grass, and it's interesting. The only thing I'm wondering is if that's an area that people may be walking to access the water?
I would imagine that it's still being used to launch small craft.
So right from the beach itself?
Yeah,
That's just based on the gap that I'm looking at on the survey, that's what it would appear, but without being out there and looking at it directly, I can't say.
Okay, so maybe we take a look at it again?
Yeah, and I think ideally, if the access to that area stopped, the salt marsh grass would fill in, but I have to see what's left there for soil. So I'd like
Okay.
to, yeah, I can absolutely take a look at that.
Okay.
Yep.
And on that note, there were a couple of, I don't know what they were, surfboards or whatever on the stairway itself. I couldn't really get by them. Are there any racks or anything like that? Or could racks be incorporated into the new structure?
I think if I'm remembering correctly, they actually had 2 spots on either side, and I think maybe in the recent storm, maybe they fell off. So
Oh.
maybe they need to do something better. I can't remember.
On the stairway
if that's
itself.
that way,
I think
or
I
was
think
it
I remember
lying?
them.
Was it,
Like they were intentionally.
they were across?
Yeah,
That's what I'm,
right.
okay, I'm remembering the correct one.
No, that's the one off Cedar Street, I think, with
Oh, with them,
the being crossed like you're going.
yeah, oh, these were just laying. That's right. So, yeah, it would be nice to have a rack for those. Obviously, they're not on the ground now, but it would be nice to have I'm sure they'd like to have a spot where they could keep them that's not sitting on the dock or on the steps, really. It's not the dock or pier.
Off the stairway, maybe?
we'll take a look at it.
Okay.
Since I have to submit a revised plan, I will ask them about that.
Also, just as an aside, we get something from the permitting coordinator, and she said, "The plan provided for the reconstruction of the pier does not indicate the length of the pier as measured from the mean high water, including the stairs, ramp, and float. A special permit is required for the reconstruction of the pre-existing non-conforming pier."
That
I
makes-
think the non-conforming, could that be the float that is bigger than what was originally approved?
No, it makes no sense to me because I don't think we've ever had to file with the zoning board of appeals to replace a lawfully existing structure in the same place.
That's why I'm reading it
I
to
will
you.
find out what's going
So
on.
I don't know, but that's what she said. So you might want to look
I
into.
mean, there'd be no basis for ZBA to say no. I mean,
Exactly.
It has to be replaced.
Exactly. So you might want to
Okay,
ask them.
all right, I will find out.
It's out of my area, thank
Thank
God.
you.
Anything else?
One
from
last
anybody?
question.
Go ahead, Eric.
Did you take these pictures, Dave?
Yes,
I knew it. I could tell by your silhouette it was you. I looked at them, I said, yeah, he's taking those pictures.
How funny. Oh, my goodness.
quite a big shadow, huh?
No, it's a good stature.
Okay, so we're going to have to continue.
Yep.
So, when would you like to continue to?
2 weeks?
Okay, so to the 9th.
Yep.
Okay, if we could,
I move that we continue 73 Kent Road to October 9th, 2024.
Second?
okay, Paul?
Aye.
Cheryl? Aye. Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Catherine, we're ready
We
for the
ready?
next.
Notice of intent application for Zero Stage Harbor Road and Zero Morris Island, maps 12A3 and 13A3, parcels Dike 1 and Dike 2, for the Town of Chatham Natural Resources Department. DEP SE number 10-3693 for temporary groins, veins, and beach nourishment. The applicant has requested a continuance to the October 23rd, 2024 hearing.
Okay,
I move that we continue 0 Stage Harbor Road and 0 Morris Island to October 23rd, 2024.
Second?
Paul?
Aye.
Cheryl? Aye. Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, next.
Okay, the following is a notice of intent at 4 Harbor View Road, map 8A, parcel H49 for Roger and Elaine Morrill, DEP SE number 10-3699 for invasive plant species control and native plant restoration on and adjacent to a coastal bank.
I'm going to move over here in case David wants to join us. Teresa Sprague with Blue Flex Design here on behalf of Roger and Elaine Morrill, and they're in the audience. And David Clark is here. He did the site plan and filed the notice of intent application, but since this is mainly vegetation management, I will do what I can without David's assistance, if possible. So you're familiar with this project. David was here before the commission several months ago for the redevelopment of the swimming pool area. And at that time, the commissioners had gone out to the site and had noted a significant amount of invasive vegetation as well as some pruned oak trees on the other side of the swimming pool fence on the southern portion of the lot. So they had asked, or you had asked for us to come forward with a land management plan, and this is what we're presenting to you today. I'll go over briefly the existing conditions on the site. Basically, we're looking at an approximately 6,300 square foot area, mainly within the 50-foot buffer zone, though there's a small portion of management area on the coastal bank itself. The property at 4 Harbor View is located near Harding's Beach. The house sits in the upland area above Harding Beach to the southwest. We have back barrier salt marsh that are flooded and drained by oyster rivers. Resource areas on the site include land subject to coastal storm flowage, coastal bank, and associated buffer zones to the coastal bank. There has not been any critical natural landscapes or endangered priority habitat located by NHESP on the property. However, NHP does identify values off-site in the beach dunes and salt marsh areas that support important ecological processes. The coastal bank and salt marsh community transition gradually into juniper woodland on the coastal bank, beach grass mixed with seaside goldenrod, little blue stem, poison ivy, significant amount of poison ivy located on the lower portions of the coastal bank. There are some concentrations of eastern red cedar, scrub oak, bayberry, black cherry, beach plum, arrowwood, viburnum, and bearberry, which we have used as our palette for the restoration area within the 50-foot buffer zone. At the top of the coastal bank, just outside the fenced area, there have been a number of trees that were pruned down repeatedly, topped to maintain views. These previously topped oaks have formed dense upper canopies and are mixing with honeysuckle and border privet, which is creating a really dense thicket in that area. Virtually all of the pruned oaks are suffering from fungal diseases and have been damaged and declining health. And additionally, it's shading out any of the ground cover. So just outside of this area, we have a really healthy ground cover of Carex pennsylvanica, little blue stem, bearberry, reindeer lichens, et cetera, what you'd expect to find in this sort of back dune coastal bank situation that is not occurring in the area where the invasive species have completely overrun the area. Our goals here are to basically to improve wildlife habitat value by removing the invasive vegetation, to limit and eliminate further disturbance by establishing a densely planted shrubland community that will not require or encourage pruning in order to maintain existing views. And then, of course, ensuring with that that the coastal bank remains stable and is able to function as a vertical buffer to stormwaters. So we have identified and flagged in the field 11 previously pruned oaks, and we did provide some images of these oak trees on page 4 of our land management plan on the bottom left-hand corner. You can see what those trees look like in winter when they did not have foliage on them. They are not good candidates for coppice regeneration or for them becoming a canopy tree anytime in the future. And they cannot continue to be pruned and maintain a healthy tree. And of course, we want to eliminate the pruning because in the area where the pruning has been happening is where we find the densest concentrations of invasive vegetation. So we did flag 11 trees in the field. They have been noted with pink flagging. I don't know if any of the commissioners had an opportunity to go out there and walk behind the fence. I understand it is really dense and it's difficult to get in there.
I tried.
Yes, it's.
That's all I'll say.
Very thick. In addition to that, we did see 3 canopy oaks that are on the coastal bank that we have flagged. We had flagged those with green flagging tape. We're proposing to flush cut those and allow them to regrow into a healthy form. We think that they can regrow, unlike the 11 that we tagged with pink flagging that we're proposing to flush cut, treat, and then plant the area. Any of the previously flush-cut scrub oaks are going to be encouraged to regenerate into that shrub form to maintain biomass and wildlife habitat. In addition to that, we're going to be removing Asiatic bittersweet, shrub honeysuckle, vine honeysuckle, and common border privet, and then infilling those with arrowwood, viburnum, beech plum, bayberry, and Virginia rose. We're going to add 1 eastern red cedar for just improvement of the eastern red cedars seem to be thriving in this area, so we're proposing to add an additional. And then in the area on the eastern portion of the lot where we've got a really nice native ground cover of Carex pennsylvanica and bearberry, we are proposing to just infill some of the bare spots with butterfly milkweed, again, for additional habitat improvement. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I think the overall idea of this plan is that once this area is restored, there will be no disturbance within the 50-foot no disturb zone, so that the homeowners can continue to enjoy the views that they currently have, but not have to do any additional pruning or any additional management in that area to maintain that. Thank you.
So you say you're removing 11 oak trees, which I don't know where they are because you haven't marked them. But you're only putting in 1 tree.
Correct, because we're infilling that area with 30 beech plum, 30 bayberry, 42
Right.
beech plum, 30 bayberry, 30 Virginia rose, and arrowwood viburnum. So the idea is the areas where we're removing those previously cut oaks is the area where they've been being heavily pruned. So we want to keep that area heavily vegetated,
Oh, and
but
I
just
get it.
eliminate pruning.
It's just that you're taking out a lot of trees and you're not putting trees back in, and we have that. And it's in the NDZ, so it's really a 2-for-1 for each tree.
So the only issue
And
or
I get it.
concern, yes, is these trees have been maintained almost as shrubs now for many, many years. This isn't something that has just occurred over the last couple of years.
Oh, no, I get that. And the
so-
problem is they didn't come for a permit to prune them, which shouldn't have happened, to create that view. So, and now, because of the pruning that we wouldn't have wanted, now they're being taken out.
Right. The only other thing I would say is if you look at the pictures that we provided, it's really difficult to categorize these as trees
Oh, I know.
They
But
have, yes.
They were trees at one point.
So we definitely have a problem and.
Yes.
That we're trying to solve in a way.
Oh, and I
that
get it.
Is protective of the buffer zone, in perpetuity versus planting trees that are very likely going to be requested to be cut in the future for vista management into a
Well,
vista corridor
What
permit.
I was sort of hoping is maybe they could go down the sides.
So the other thing is that the areas, once we get out of this area that we've shaded in green, and again, it's somewhat conceptual, we do have a dense canopy of oaks, pitch pines, and
You do.
eastern red cedars. And so our goal is to not disturb any of that, to really only focus on the area that's been previously disturbed, which is mainly just outside of the fence, the pool fencing.
So I'm going to let others
Okay.
I have a comment.
tackle some, so go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, as far as the trees, the 2 to 1, you know, I look forward, I look into moving forward, forget about what's been done. The oaks, I definitely agree, they should be cut down, the ones that have.
yeah.
But that 2 to 1 is kind of a stickler, because if we don't do it with you, and then someone, well, we didn't do it on Old Harbor, so, I mean, you can put in small cedars. I mean, we'll all be in our graves 20 years by the time a cedar tree gets to where it's gonna be an issue with anything growing around it. I mean, you can put 4-footers in, maybe 2 to 1 4-footers. I do love the milkweed. I wish you would use more milkweed in your plans. So I think, you know, it's doable.
Okay.
You know, you gotta put in some more cedars in there. I mean, you can spread them around,
Okay.
you know? Thank you.
Anyone else? Cheryl?
I was pleased to see the milkweed too.
Great.
I've actually been looking, recently thought, how come those never show up on plans? So you must have been thinking just like me, so thank you.
Yep.
You are leaving some oak trees that are going to be allowed to become oak trees again?
We
Is that my
are,
understanding?
yes,
And how many of those
absolutely.
are you leaving in this area?
So I did not do a count, let me see if there's a count of the scrub oak. I don't think we specifically counted the scrub oak that had been previously cut. We really just counted the trees that we were actually proposing to remove or
Okay.
manage, yeah.
But some will be, are they going to be cut down and then just allowed to
Exactly,
reestablish?
yes. There is the 11 that we specifically
Right.
called out that just cannot be remanaged into any kind of a healthy form
Oh, I
of
get
tree.
that.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Bob, do you have anything?
No, not really. I mean, I think it's a good project.
It is.
Wipe out a lot of invasives and replant.
Um,
Oh, well, that's
one
all I have
thing-
to say.
On your plan?
Yep.
You said 30 bayberry and 30 Virginia rose, and on your plan it says 29.
It's, I know, I was rounding up, sorry.
Oh, okay.
29, just so I
Just
could give
wanted
you
to
a
make
quick number.
sure.
So it's 80 shrubs or 83 shrubs total.
Okay, I
Yes.
just wanted to make sure that
No.
it's accurate.
It is accurate. We
Okay.
are proposing 29, but if you'd prefer 30, we can throw in an extra.
No, no,
each
no, I just want to make sure it's reflected
Yes,
properly.
yes. No, thank you. I should have been very clear with
I
that.
try
Sorry
and make
about
it
that.
a little easier for when they go for the
Yeah.
COC and all of that. But no, I'm glad to see this happening, definitely. And given that it was impossible for me to try and get in, and I tried from all different ways, but
Yep.
I said, oh, this isn't happening. It definitely needs to happen.
Yep.
And so I very much appreciate that. So the only real issue is the trees. So we're going to have to continue it.
Okay. I wonder
So
if
you
we-
all can consider it and see, I mean, maybe you can figure out, you know, I get wanting the view, of
Yes.
course, and you pay a lot for the view, but maybe on the sides, you know, something that's, and as Eric said, something that's not going to grow, it's still a tree, you know, an understory tree
Yeah.
that's not going to affect
Yes.
their view, but yet meets our requirements, because the problem is, as Eric said, you know, we start forgiving and it steamrolls, and given that 11 are coming out, and I understand they're not viable,
Yeah.
but at the same time, they would be if they hadn't been pruned.
I wonder if we were to plant some container-sized cedars, that would be, seems like it would be adequate.
Yeah,
Yes.
something.
Okay.
So that would be great. So when would you like to
I think we can make these changes relatively quickly. What's your next hearing date
Our next
available?
hearing is next week,
Okay,
October 2nd. Then we have October 9th. And then we have October 23rd.
so I think October 9th, I think if we were to get, we would have had to have plans in today with revisions for you for next week's hearing.
Well,
so-
actually, for next week's, you would have, you'd have till Friday, but not, you know, and
Let's do
even.
the 9th, so I have an opportunity
Okay.
also to talk to the Morals.
So then if we could have a motion, please.
I move that we continue 4 Harborview Road to October 9th, 2024.
Second?
Okay, Paul.
Aye.
Cheryl.
Aye.
Elise.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
And Bob.
Aye.
And I say aye.
Thank you.
Okay, Catherine, the
Okay,
next.
the following is a notice of intent at 102 Cedar Street, map 13C, parcel 40-10, from Michael Frizzoli, DEP SE number 10-3701, for proposed shoreline stabilization.
Okay. Do we have anybody? I didn't look to see who this is. I think it's Crawford. Yeah. Is there anybody online?
Bottom of the list is getting full. We keep pushing things
I
down to the
know,
bottom.
that's what I'm getting, well, at this point, we're almost at the end,
can move it
so
to
we
2:17.
would just continue it to another day, I think, if nobody's on. And I'm not seeing that anybody is. Unless,
Why don't we just move it to the bottom one last time?
okay, we can move it. It's only going to be after one more property. So, I mean, we will.
But actually, we got 2 that went to the bottom before this one.
Yeah, right, so, yeah, one more property and then we have the other 2. Okay,
So delay it or?
let's table it
Continue.
and we'll try.
I move that we table 102 Cedar Street for later in the meeting today.
Second?
Paul?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye.
Just kick
Okay,
that can right down.
all right, Catherine.
Okay. The following is a notice of intent at 217 Woodland Way, map 11K, parcel HC125, for John and Paul Perlowski, DEP SE number 10-3702, construction of a swimming pool and patio within the buffer zone to a coastal bank.
David
How are
Clark.
you?
David Clark, Clark Engineering on behalf of the Perlowski. So by the way, Jeff Norgio is in the audience now. He sped down here from Orleans, I imagine, to be here in person.
Thank you. Well, that's, you were on, we just couldn't hear, we saw you. No, that, you were like frozen. Frozen in time.
Throw something
But
at us
thank you.
next time.
You will be next, just so you know. We'll do yours next, since you sped down here. Thank you. All right.
So, the Pulowskis have owned this home for quite a while. They bought it from Eastwood Companies, who were the original developer. And they've been very good stewards of the property. Over the last few years, they've been supplementing the native plantings on the water side of the house because they felt they needed more plants there. Not in anticipation of any project, but we're here today. They'd like to install a swimming pool in the 50 to 100-foot buffer. It's primarily within an area that's lawn now. And so to keep the grading to a minimum, we're proposing a retaining wall around the pool so we can create a level area. The issue becomes, we're over the 35% maximum in your regulations, so we're requesting a variance for that. Phil Cheney has provided a mitigation plan to fill in what little areas are left in the 50 to 100 to provide additional native plantings in that area. And as part of the requirements for the variance is a alternatives analysis. And the purposes of the project is to have a swimming pool in close proximity to the house. The way the house is laid out, we have a garage on the east side of the house. Let me get that right, east side of the house, with a large parking area, the Title V septic system. So really, the only other place to put the pool is to the right of the driveway as you come in, and that meets none of the project goals of the applicants. It's too far away from the house, there's no privacy, and for safety reasons, it's going to be very difficult to keep an eye on anybody that's using the pool. So we're showing the pool in the 50 to 100, and again, we're asking for the variance to be over the 35%.
Did we receive a variance letter requesting it?
It's in the narrative.
Yeah, it's in the narrative, but I think Paul likes a separate letter requesting the variance.
Just a two-line statement asking for the variance?
I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I could do that.
Thank you. And, oops. I have a few things. When it's excavated, where is the material going?
And it all has to go off-site. There's
Where they
a
go.
little bit of regrading, but it's not much. I mean, a foot of
Right.
material at the base.
I don't think in your work protocol you say that that's happening, that it is going off-site.
Yeah, there's just no place to put it, and it's not needed for anything.
Exactly.
It's,
How are they going to get equipment to that spot? I had to walk down some steps.
Helicopter.
They either have to build a construction access over the retaining wall on the south side of the house, or put some steel plate over the septic system and try to get equipment around the north side of the house. But even then, they're gonna be limited to small equipment. So I would imagine what they'll have to do is bring an excavator down around the north side of the house. And then that excavator's gonna have to stockpile material at the base of the wall on the south side of the house, and there'll be another excavator there to reach over and pick the stuff up and put it in a dump truck.
So there will
It's a
be quite a
challenge.
bit of disturbance.
There'll be lawn, it's mostly all lawn where the machinery is gonna have to make their runs. 'Cause it's all lawn now between the base of the wall and the north side of the house, and then there is a corridor on the south side of the house that's all lawn and walkway. So yes, there will be disturbance of lawn.
Now, I'll get to my biggest issue. You're 46%.
Yeah.
And that's significantly above 35% that we allow. And I understand your alternatives analysis, that they want to have a view at their pool. But I do think personally that there is a better location, which is the front of the house. And I disagree that there's no privacy. But having said that, another option is to decrease the size of what they want to put in. 46 is way over. And, you're building walls, you're, retaining walls, you've got your semi-pervious patio, you've got this bigger pool. It's a lot. That's just my opinion, and I'm only one commissioner. So I'm going to let others chime in.
Yeah, I can chime in a little bit, yeah. I'm usually pretty, open-minded to these things. I have to agree with the chair. I mean, you know, this 35, we keep bending between the 50 to the 100. We kind of, you know, we're stuck on this 35%. And as far as alternatives, you know, I do think I mean, I can't imagine the cost is amazing to me versus you don't even have to deal with mitigation plantings and walls and as far as keeping an eye, I look down up there, it's not that easy to keep an eye unless you're standing at the window looking down at a person in the pool all day. And as far as privacy, you could easily plant a arborvitae hedge on the street side for privacy and make a nice little swimming pool compound out there. You're out of jurisdiction with us. You don't have to deal with us. I mean, we're running out of mitigation. We got mitigation not even contiguous with the rest of it. I just don't feel good about this one, you know. That's all I got to say. Thanks.
Anybody else? Bob?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, reduce the size. That was where I was gonna come from. Even you have patio here, and then you have the pool, so you could easily reduce the size of this if they want it in the same location. That's where I'm coming from.
Okay.
Thank you.
Before I call anybody else, Catherine has her hand up. So Catherine, go ahead.
Yes, so my comments on it are just more of the really defining or delineating how you're going to access and giving us more of a description how you're going to access both sides of the house, because there's a mitigation planting on the one side and then there's the pool on the other side. And if you have to kind of access both so that you don't go into the NDZ with the equipment for either one. And just with all the slopes and everything, I think we just need a little more information on the work protocol for the size of the equipment, the spacing, the area that's going to be taken up, that's going to be disturbed during this, because it's really nicely vegetated on the seaward side of that existing patio, so I wouldn't want to see all that area get disturbed for the construction.
Thank you. Anybody else? Cheryl, Elise, Paul, anybody?
I'm with smaller as well, or moving it. I guess I hadn't really thought. They do have a lovely front yard. It'd be a shame. It's a lovely presentation, so I can see why they want to put it someplace else. But the option is to make it smaller, I think, or smaller, because I was looking at these. I was thinking this was patio, but these are shrubs that are for other, so you don't gain anything by taking those up.
Paul, anything? Elise?
I thought smaller the minute I looked at the plan, so
Yeah.
that would be my thought as well.
Okay.
So we have three that.
A lot wants smaller. I mean,
want smaller. So,
that-
yeah, I was
or
kind of
move.
get a poll of the commission. Is it a wasted effort to come back with a smaller pool?
Or if you put it in the front, you can make a monster pool.
Well,
Yeah.
You could have water slides and
so, I mean, I would start,
It's a park.
yeah, I would start with smaller and see. I don't know that it's a waste. I won't call it a waste of time. I am concerned. And then is Phil around to talk about? I don't see him on.
Yeah, he's not.
Because I have some concerns about how he's drawn all of this, and he has mitigation in 2 areas, and then he has what he calls invasive plant management. Well, part of his work is going into an area that has previously been a restoration area, so he's sort of, and the only reason I questioned and looked was there's a low split rail fence along the patio, and I went, that's got to be demarking a previous mitigation. And putting one little 214 square foot mitigate, and that's all he calls mitigation planting near the pool, yet he's got a lot of other planting, which I'm not sure why he's not calling that mitigation.
Okay.
And then on the other side of the house, we get some more, and if they're approaching from that side to get things to the pool or from the pool or anything, they might be going where we have previous mitigation / restoration. So that was a concern of mine. If you can let him
Sure.
know. And I don't know if anybody else has any other concerns for Phil's.
I'll have him watch the tape on this as
Yeah.
well. Speak to Eric's comment about we can make the pool as large as we want on the north
Right.
side, by the street. That's true. But at the end of the day, it's the same habitat. I mean, just because there's a 50-foot line and a 100-foot line on
Oh,
the plan,
I
it's the
agree.
same habitat.
I agree. I mean,
So,
I don't think we're saying make a larger pool
no,
or
no,
anything.
I
But
get where he was going with it.
you know, as an alternatives analysis,
Yeah.
that was presented as the only other alternative. And I
Yeah.
get that because there isn't a lot of other alternatives on this property, the way it's done with the patio, which is lovely and everything. You really are kind of stuck with only two options.
Okay.
So,
How about the last meeting in October?
okay, that is October 23rd. So if we could have a motion.
Karen, I got something
Oh,
quick.
please, I'm sorry.
That's all right. The field between the residents and the shoreline has some invasives in it. Maybe some bittersweet from here to there. That could be part of the mitigation as well.
I think that's
He
ultimately
does.
what Phil was getting at in his
Yeah.
invasive management.
He
Okay.
is that
actually
there's some
added,
things have crept in there over the
Yes,
last 10
yeah.
years.
Okay,
on his
thanks.
plan, actually, what was it? Really only 510 is true mitigation, those two green spots. And then he says the rest, 460 is invasive management. So
Okay, all
I
right,
think
thank
he's
you.
planning on some of that being his mitigation.
So I'll get clarification on that.
Okay,
Okay.
I move that we continue 217 Woodland Way to October 23rd, 2024.
Second?
Paul?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, Catherine, I think, let's go back to whichever.
Jeff Norjo's there now, correct?
Yeah, so let's do 509 Riverview.
Okay, so the following is a field change request for 509 Riverview Drive, map 7J, parcel C6 for Scott Barrett and Kimberly Summers, DEP SE number 10-3687 for construction of access stairs over coastal bank. Field change requested is in regards to special condition number 2, which requires an elevation of no less than 36 inches above grade. Because of multiple landings, each preceding stair flight would compound in elevation. A typical stair would begin 3 to 4 feet above grade, then return to near grade at each platform.
Thank you. Hi,
Hi,
Jeff.
Jeff Marshall. So essentially what we're looking for is a 3-foot average
Right,
instead of a 3-foot minimum. I think it's understandable.
yes.
Are there any questions about that?
So if you could go into a little more detail how you're achieving that. I talked to
Okay.
Paul earlier today, so it was explained to me, but not everybody's had that conversation with
Okay.
Paul, so it would be great.
So typically, you want your stairway to be a little bit steeper than the back so that it's continually returning back to the ground, and then you push out with the next platform. And I'll adjust those platforms in length to get the required height at the top of the stairs. And then you want to return back. If they're the same slope as the hill and you hit a platform, it pushes the stairs out again, and then the next platform again. So by the time we get to the bottom, our handrails would be 10, 11, 12 feet off the ground. So I'd like to avoid that by bringing the bottom ends closer. So that when I do these stairs, we lay it out with strings and stakes and boards. So I've done that, and I have it all proved out, and it worked out to be about 4 feet off the ground at the tops and about 2 feet off the grounds at the bottom. And then I take all those measurements and build the stairway off-site in a kit. and we bring it to the site and erect it. So it minimizes quite a bit of disturbance on the site. So I have it laid out now, and it all seemed to work fine if you're in agreement with a 3-foot average.
Go ahead, Eric.
No, fine with me.
Anybody? Bob?
I was just going to ask, you're planning on putting a kayak rack at the bottom as well?
Yes, but we'd like to figure out the flow pattern first, the traffic pattern, and then determine the best location for that.
Yeah.
They're working with the Conservation Foundation for how to cross their property. So I think we're going to determine that after construction.
Terrific.
Because no one's really been to the bottom of the hill yet to figure out the dynamics.
Okay, great.
And it'll most likely be something hanging off the existing stair or platform.
Okay, great. Your work is pretty impressive. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. If we could have a motion, please?
Are we going to an order?
No, we approve
Okay.
the field change request.
I make a motion to approve the field change request for 509 Riverview Drive.
Second.
Okay, Paul?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay,
Okay.
you're all set.
Jen Crawford, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Catherine.
Jen Crawford is now on the call, so I was going to go next to that 102-seater, if that's okay.
Perfect.
Okay. So the following is a notice of intent at 102 Cedar Street, map 13C, parcel 40-10 from Michael Frisole, DEPSE number 10-3701 for proposed shoreline stabilization.
Okay. Hi, Jen.
Hey, I'm so sorry. I apologize for not being here when you called me the first time.
That's okay.
It's been a busy day. I do want to correct something though. The name is not Frisoli on this one. That is the 44 Nickerson property.
Okay.
So I don't know if that makes any difference in the way that it was put on your agenda. I don't know.
Oh. Huh. Okay.
It's the right address, but it's the wrong name. I don't know.
Okay. We'll
So anyway.
correct that next time, but
All right.
Yeah.
So with this project, there are actually 2 existing orders of conditions on this project. One of them is still valid. One of them is older. We were not involved in the older of the orders, so to speak. It, to my understanding, had to do with some work up around the house that some was completed, some was never undertaken. And the second order of conditions that is open on this property, I believe that the expiration is coming up very soon on this. But that order of conditions was for some bank restoration for the majority of the upper portion of the bank. And so we were involved in that, and we have actively been working in that permit. And so with this particular filing that we have in front of you, the Coastal Bank has had some, basically just some toe scour over the past few years. I know we submitted some photos along with our project narrative for you, and I'm happy to share those if you don't have them up on the screen. But basically, this project, what we're asking to be able to do is just to reestablish that toe using coir fiber rolls, replant it, and kind of tie the top of it in with the existing restoration area, which is there and doing well. That's really what this project is. We would access the project around, as you're looking at the plan, around the left side of the house. And we would use the same type of equipment we use on every project. We would use small track excavator. We have a typical section detail. The majority of that toe really only needs 3 fiber rolls. There's one section at the end that needs 4. And that's what's shown in our typical section cut detail. we would establish limit of work and silt fence at the bottom. I do know that there is a provision, I believe, and Crystal, I know, has her hand raised and can probably clarify this
Yeah.
as well. But I know that there's a provision, I believe, in one of the other orders that says you won't give us a new order until those old orders are closed out.
Correct.
Or something to that effect. So we have, I am preparing 2 certificates of compliance to submit to you for those old orders. The one of them, like I said, is just about to expire for the restoration work. So we did include restoration notes from that order to just carry on forward with this. And I'm assuming that you would also allow ongoing conditions to maintain that. With the first order of conditions that we weren't involved in, that isn't really for any type of work that we would do, we do, I believe, have an accurate understanding of the work that was completed versus the work that was never undertaken. And the survey that we have for this project it's the existing conditions now, so therefore it's the as-built, so to speak, for that permit. So I do have that information, and we will be submitting it to you. I just haven't had time to read through it and to finalize it for submission.
Okay.
So
Go ahead.
I mean, honestly, that's everything in a nutshell. So I am happy to talk through any of these various items for this property that I can help answer questions about.
Okay. Crystal has her hand up, so go ahead, Crystal.
I just wanted to ask Jen to revise the cover letter,
Yes.
because it says on behalf of our client, Michael Rizzoli.
It
That would
does.
be where it comes from.
Exactly.
Got it.
I was just about to say that.
Change that and say-
Got it. We must have used the same template as we did for the last filing. So thank you so much. I did not catch that in our cover letter. I will make sure that that is corrected.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And Crystal, did I accurately kind of summarize those other 2 orders based on your knowledge of them?
Yeah, the one that's about to expire, I believe, is the one that's being rolled into this one. And since it's of the same, it's pretty much the same project. I know DEP wants them closed out.
Yep.
The 2 open projects of the same kind. And then the other one is fully expired, so that one should have a certificate of compliance to close it out and get it off of the property.
Yep. And I'll give you as much information on that one as we're able to. Like I said, we weren't involved, and it's a different engineer that's working with us on this project. So I'll give you as much information as I can gather, and if there are additional questions, I'll just have to sleuth them out with whoever I can.
Okay, sounds good.
So tagging on to that, since we are rolling some of the one previous, the SE10-3505, into this, is there a way to identify where that portion of the work is going versus the other part, which
Yep.
is the new application, so that,
It's already noted on our plan, actually. It's
Right.
the portion of the bank that's hatched, and we did reference that SE number in that area, and that was taken directly from
oh, okay. So,
from the old plan.
but I'm seeing both sides say their existing restoration area, SE 10-3505. So all of that is the existing. So.
From that permit, yes.
Right. So what is the part you're doing, the little gray at the bottom?
It's really the fiber roll installation at
Right.
the bottom, correct?
Okay. And these clusters that you have marked that are coming out, there's 3 clusters in your area that I think are being removed, if I'm not.
Yeah,
Okay. And when you say a cluster, is that trees?
It's, I'll have to ask Andy honestly what the species is, but you can see them or the nature of them in the photos that were submitted
Right.
within the narrative. They're basically like multi-stem shrubs. It looks like on the photos, it looks like one of them is serviceberry. It looks like there's potentially one of them a blueberry, but they're, you know, kind of half in the, they're kind
I'm
of
trying to
half.
find the photos, so
Yep.
maybe I'll,
Oh, you passed it, I think.
yeah, I did.
I have it up on my screen. If it's helpful, I can share it. Would
Here,
that be helpful?
I can get it. Yep, there it is. I'll start sharing it. I didn't want to make everybody dizzy as I went up and running up and down. There you go. I think that's what you're talking about. All right,
Yeah.
because I just want to make sure, because if they're considered trees, then we need to have trees put in, so.
Yep. Understood.
Okay, I'm going to let others go.
Yeah, I have a couple comments.
Go ahead.
The serviceberry and the blueberry, after you put the rolls in, why can't you just tuck the soil up underneath them and keep them?
Because the whole area has to be kind of regraded and prepped to accept the fiber rolls, and the fiber rolls are 20 inches in diameter. So the fiber rolls don't get applied to necessarily what's there. We have to even it out and move that stuff out of the way so that we can put the fiber rolls on the desired slope and anchor them into basically soils that haven't been touched.
Right. Yeah, I get it. So you'll have to put in 2 to 1 when the time comes.
I think we included, I believe that we included some planting on our plans for you. We have 12 large shrubs going in there, 6 black chokeberry, 6 plethora, at the top to kind of knit together with that existing restoration area from the previous permit. And we also have around 1,000 plugs of American beach grass and quite a number of high transitional marsh and native grasses going in the installation itself.
Yeah, no, it looks like a good, so on the certificate of compliance, which project is involved with the silt fence that's on the beach floating in and out, high tide and low tide?
So that is just for the limit of work while we are installing
No,
the fiber
the
rolls.
old silt fence that was used in the previous project is down on the beach, floating in and out of the water during high tide and low tide.
That will be something that, you mean like as debris, basically. I assume that was there for the stairs when they were built.
Right.
We can remove that before we submit the certificate of compliance to you.
Okay, good. And also, the old fiber roll there needs to be removed with the anchor stakes. That needs to be removed also.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep.
And then also, in your project, before you get the certificate of compliance, your silt fence and everything will be removed also, correct?
Our silt fence will be removed as soon as we are done blanketing the installation. That silt
Good.
fence will not remain down there through the duration of the project. There would be no real reason for it to remain there.
Yeah, that's awesome. The only reason why I asked is because I'm seeing way too many projects where, certificate of compliance, the silt fences are still there, the stakes are still there.
Yes.
And I'm tired of it. Thank you.
I couldn't agree with you more. Being the ecological consultant and contractor on jobs, especially on raise and rebuilds, I can't tell you how many, I don't even know, thousands of feet of silt fence we've had to dig out of construction areas after 2 years, and the contractor doesn't do it, and we end up doing it. So I couldn't agree more.
Thank you.
Bob?
Jen, I got a couple of questions. When you come down with the excavator across the coastal bank, you're gonna have to remove some of those plants that you've already planted, correct?
If we can sneak down between things, we will, but there may be some areas, because we do need to try and access through the best route for the equipment, so to speak. So we may have to pop some things out and replace them when we are done. If that is the case, we will try to just reuse them and replant them, but if it's not, then we will replace them in kind.
So everything will be put
And I
back?
thought,
Yeah, go
thought
ahead.
maybe we had a note in here, but if not, I can add that. And I think that it may be smart if we have to remove them from that access path, that we replant them off to the side so that we can maintain an access path there should we ever need to come in with a small piece of equipment again in the future to repair or whatever else. I think that would be smart planning.
Okay. And also, how do you feel about before and after pictures of the marsh?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. Honestly, so even though the salt marsh is delineated all the way up to the toe of that bank, you can see from the photos that the first, I would say anywhere from 4 to 6 feet, maybe more, is just a very, very thick layer of rack. And there's no active salt marsh growing there. And so that's why we felt like it was okay to be utilizing that area for access. And you can see that in a couple of the photos. But we did with that silt fence area, knowing that normally you trench silt fence in, and we did not want to be disturbing any salt marsh soils, even if there wasn't, or unnecessarily disturbing, even if there wasn't any active grass growing there. What we submitted on our detail was to drive the stakes of the silt fence in, but then the piece of the silt fence material that's normally trenched in, our plan is to simply lay that on top of the rack and then put an alternamat on top of it, which reduces any sort of compaction, but that should pin that fabric in place and basically do the same thing as trenching it in without actually trenching it in. Because this installation is not a big installation. It's not going to take us that long to do. So I'm very, very comfortable with that methodology in that area. So I hope that helps explain that.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Yep.
Go ahead, Elise.
Jen, do you have a trigger point for renourishment identified? Do we need to have that?
We don't really in this particular case. It's because there is salt marsh below. There's we can't really nourish over the top of salt marsh, so to speak. And so in this particular case, what we would be looking to do is there will be, I think, a little bit of extra soil from just excavating and fitting the fiber rolls in, and that will be placed over the rolls. But our hope really here is that we will be able to get vegetation established and not necessarily need a lot of nourishment, because I'm not exactly sure how we would place a lot of nourishment over this particular installation with the salt marsh being right there. With it being so close, it would be very little nourishment that we would be able to place. And so I guess the long answer to your question is that the trigger point would be when those rolls really are fully exposed. But it would be a very small amount of material that we would really be able to place.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
So you're going to need a variance, and we need
We
a
did
letter. We need a letter requesting
Yep.
that.
Yep, we did put it in our narrative, but I heard previous
Yes.
on one of the other hearings that you want that broken out into a letter, so I'm happy to do that.
And I think specifying some of the, how that access will be working over the restoration area would be great.
Sure.
Going a
Yeah, I
little
can
bit
provide a
more
little more
detail.
detail.
And as
Yeah.
far as alternatives, you really, truly, there's only two possibilities: leave it or do what you're saying.
I mean, we can, the thing is I can't really blanket it the way it is. It's not able to really be stabilized just with vegetation and blankets with the way that it is. And in order to just try that, I have to get a piece of equipment down there to
Right.
regrade it anyway so that it can be blanketed. I guess I could write that in if you want me to, but
No, I just wanted to make sure that there truly were pretty much only two alternatives. two options.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna try to stabilize it, I know that, the revetment is not appropriate, a bulkhead is not
No.
appropriate.
No,
So-
no, no.
Right? I mean, I could put all those in there,
Please.
but, I mean,
We'll
honestly,
end it
in
at
my
year two
opinion,
alternatives.
Cheryl
Yeah.
or Paul, do you have anything? Okay. Crystal, you have your hand up. Did you mean to still have your hand up?
No, that's all, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I just want to make sure that you can chime in if you wanted. All right. It seems, I mean, we're not really asking for anything, but we do need those COCs. So when are you getting those in?
I think Andy, I love Andy, she has left to go get married.
Oh.
And so she is out for 2 weeks, but she left me the two COCs with checks written on them. So I'm assuming that they are something that I can probably get to you, hopefully by the end of this week, is my hope. And I think that she had gotten things pretty far along. I think the ball is in my court at this point. So I'm hoping there's something I can submit to you within the next few days.
So if we continued this to next week, because we need the COCs in
Yeah.
order, I mean, we're not going to, I mean, actually, we could approve this to go to an order, but I'd rather approve it to go to an order after whenever you're going to have the COCs in, so that we don't have that cross and trying to figure it out. So if
Sure.
we went to October 9th for an order, would that
I will
work?
definitely have those. Yes, that will
Because I
definitely
don't think
work.
that there was anything significant, there are things that we'll ask for, like the before and after photos, and, if you could give us a bit more detail as to the access for the work, and,
Yep.
moving restaurant, because, so that we know exactly what you're thinking, and then
Yep.
the variance letter request. If you could get those in, we could start working on the order. And
Okay.
we could continue it for an order to the 9th.
And let me just add, don't forget to remove the trash before the COC.
Oh, yeah,
I
absolutely, or
have
else.
that right here at the top of my list with stars on it.
Thanks.
I will not forget, I promise. And I will actually, so what I'll plan to do then, if you're able to get us on for the 9th, what I will plan to do is to have everything for you for the property, the revised plans. I will take some pictures of the
Perfect.
area at the bottom of the bank after the debris is removed, and I will have the COC request, hopefully all to you in one fell swoop, so to speak, so that you have everything you need to revisit this with me on the 9th.
Okay, so we'll have to do the closings, and then we can vote on we can move to approve your order, but we have to have the others, we definitely have to close them by the 9th.
Okay, all right, I will get to work on those. Or
Great, thank
finalizing
you.
them, rather.
I just want to
Yeah.
add that I found a nice heavy-duty spade down there. I brought it up the stairs and leaned it on the railing.
Nice.
So
Wonder if
whoever,
that was mine from when we did the planting a couple years ago.
it's a nice one. It's about 100, it's all metal. They're like $140.
Oh, yeah.
So,
That's
and they
probably
didn't
one of
keep
mine.
it.
Right?
Yeah.
A little rust.
So
thank
it's on
you.
the, it's on
I
the top,
appreciate
it's
that.
on the top of the stairs.
All right, well, I'll have my guys grab it in the next couple days here. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, we need a motion.
I move that we continue 102 Cedar Street to October 9th, 2024 for an order of conditions.
Second.
Okay, Paul?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Okay, so, Catherine, we're ready for the next. I guess it would be Periwinkle.
Yes.
Are you here for Periwinkle?
Oh, yeah, that one.
Okay, so unless somebody's here for Periwinkle, we're going to have to extend it, we're going to have to continue it. So,
Okay.
I'm not seeing,
Can we just do it?
well, we have to open it again anyway in order to continue it. So why don't we do that?
Okay. Request for extension to an order of conditions, 14 Periwinkle Lane, map 4C, parcel L7 for Alan Hinkowski, DEP SE number 10-3344, for proposed vinyl sheeting to enhance existing gabions. Extension is requested to complete the handrails, 5-quarter decking, fill railroad tie stairs with 3/4-inch stone and loam, and reseed around the stairs. This is the second extension request, and this one expires 10/17/2024.
Okay, so I'll verify, nobody's here for this, correct? I'm not seeing anybody online. Okay, then we're going to have to continue it. We'll continue it to next week, to 10/2, and then hopefully we can get a hold of them and ask them to actually be available. So if we could have a motion.
I move that we continue 14 Periwinkle Lane to October 2nd, 2024.
Second.
Okay, Paul?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye. All right. Next one, Catherine.
Yes. We're moving on to the certificates of compliance.
Yep.
We have 24 and 2 Salt Pond Road, map 17J, parcels 2 and 7-4 for Edward and Cheryl Acton, DEP SE number 10-3485 for the removal and reconstruction of a single-family home, construction of a detached garage, rock revetment repair, and associated site improvements.
Great. Okay, if you could identify yourself and then.
Sure. Hello, I'm Ed Acton, the owner of 24 Salt Pond Road.
Hi, Ed.
Hi. I was here in front of you, a few weeks ago. Actually, I tried to call in, but there was issues.
Right.
And we went ahead and we had discussed putting in stone markers on the property. And we went ahead and did that. We put in, I think, either 17 or 18 cobblestones. And I have some pictures I just took a few hours ago. But I got a email from Sean Riley at 1:45, about half an hour ago, that the board would perhaps like a low fence instead of the stone. So I'm
Well,
a little confused, I guess.
The issue is the cobblestones are small, and your mitigation can grow over them and hide them. And this is a demarcation that's supposed to make it so people don't mow or disturb the area. So large boulder, I'll call them boulders, can work, or a low split rail fence, it
Yeah.
could be a foot tall.
Yeah.
So,
The cobblestones are sticking quite a bit out of the ground, and I guess if they did get overgrown, that would be a good thing, because that would mean the lawn area would be reduced and the mitigation area would be getting bigger, correct?
or they're hidden, and people don't know not to mow that far.
They do stick out far enough out of the ground. If they did try to mow, they would
They would hit 'em,
They would
yeah.
hit. But I went ahead and did
Okay.
this thinking this is what you wanted. But I did speak to Wilkinson regarding,
Right.
and they liked the idea of stones only because they said then the landscapers don't weed whack all the way
Right.
around it.
And that's,
And then you don't have an issue with it rotting and disappearing or anything.
Right.
So I did,
Bob, what's your opinion? Because when you first came,
yeah.
we couldn't see that there was any demarcation.
Yeah, and originally there was only like 3 or 4 of them
Right,
out there.
and then you had to cut back what you have to be able to send, and we received pictures showing that you cut back, and there were actually these stones there, but it wasn't, that's what concerned us, was
Sure.
it had to be cut back in order to be able to see what you had done.
Yeah.
But, Bob, what's your opinion?
I mean, you could, you know, instead of getting others, what you could do is you could stand them on end and bury them a little bit, so they're sticking up out of the ground.
Yeah, and that's what they are now. They're buried, and there's about 6 inches. The Imperial Landscaping came out and they put the oversized cobblestones in.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's
So they're
about-
bigger than what was originally
Yeah,
in the
so-
pictures?
Well, these are the pictures
You-
from a little while ago.
Thank you. If, go back over to the mic, though.
Oh, sorry.
So, here, I'll start with Bob, and we'll pass it
And,
on down.
Originally, there was only a few of them out there. There's 17 or 18 of them now, and they're quite noticeable, but I can certainly,
I mean, you look at what it's demarcating, and it's so much bigger than your stones, and that was why we couldn't see it originally.
So how wide apart are they,
you had asked that they be 8 to 10 feet apart, and they're 8 to 10 feet apart.
Yeah, well, I'm good with that then, I mean, as far as I'm concerned.
The other-
I am too. I don't want to continue this again.
Right, well, we weren't going
Oh.
to, what we were going to do was issue the order with an ongoing condition that whatever we felt needed to be done
trim around
would
this-
happen.
Trim around keep the trimming around the stones so you can see the border.
Okay, if that, and is this from now, or is this from previously?
That's from about
Okay,
2 hours ago.
all right.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, I have noticed that
Okay.
it has grown in nice. It's a beautiful little
Yeah.
nature
The problem
spot.
is it grew in really nicely,
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
couldn't see the
I did like your
stones.
positive spin on it. That was good, that it could grow over the lawn, so the lawn
Well-
would be even smaller. I like that one. That was
That's
pretty
my-
good.
I was
That's
thinking,
creative.
That's creative. I wonder what you do for a living.
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
It says the meadow areas will be mown on an annual basis. We don't mow that area
Good.
at all. We just
Don't.
like it
That's
to.
okay.
We
It,
just-
it gives you the ability to do
Oh.
it.
Yeah, there's rabbits and chipmunks and.
Wonderful.
And a lot of ticks, but other than that,
Yeah,
everything's
other
good.
than that, well, everybody has lots of ticks. So what we would do is, we can have a motion to approve it, but, so Crystal knows, and Catherine and Paul, it will have an ongoing condition that you maintain so that
They can be
these
seen.
are visible.
Sure.
So that's how that would be handled, as well as any other ongoing conditions that come with the order that had been issued to you.
Okay.
All right, then I think we can do a motion.
I move that we approve the request for a certificate of compliance for 24 and 2 Salt Pond Road.
Second.
Okay, Paul?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay,
Thank you.
you're all set. Thank you. Okay. Catherine?
Okay, the following is a request for a certificate of compliance at 73 Kent Road, map 12J, parcel G4 for Jesco Guo and Philip Chu, DEP SE number 10-3480, for the demolition and reconstruction of a dwelling within the buffer zone to a coastal bank.
Okay. I think David left, so I guess he's not going to speak to this.
Yeah, we're getting to know the property well.
Yeah,
Although the planting wasn't done, huh? It wasn't finished.
well, in his request for a COC, he says it hasn't been done, and this order has expired, and that's why they are putting the mitigation planting into the
New one.
new, because they couldn't request an extension. So, but he said, and this was the only thing I had a question about, was, let's see, maybe he sent in 2 letters and one's later. See, he requested, on August 28th, he requested a COC. And then on September 10th, he requested it, but he said a partial So Catherine, are we approving a partial or a full?
We are approving a full certificate of compliance with
That's
the
what I thought.
understanding that the mitigation is going to be rolled into SE 10 3700.
Right, that's what I thought, but with his September 10th letter, it said a partial. So that confused me, so I'm glad you confirmed what I thought we were doing today. All right, then, if there's nobody to ask questions to, does anybody have any comments about this? You know, they are rolling in the mitigation into the new application, so this has been completed.
Good. Yeah.
Okay, then we need a motion.
Excuse me. I move that we issue a certificate of compliance for 73 Kent Road.
Second?
Paul?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay. We're ready for the next, Catherine.
That is all on our
We have minutes.
agenda until minutes to be
Yeah.
approved.
So you have to say that we have minutes to be approved.
Okay. We haven't gone over this. We have minutes to be approved, July 10th, 2024, and the July 24th, 2024.
Okay, let's see, I did not look to see, I don't think, from what I remember, anybody missed.
That's what I was just gonna go look for, because
Yeah.
I've been absent so much lately.
Virtually, let's see, everybody was here for the 10th. And let's check the 24th. I thought I saw everybody was here, but then I thought better double check. Yeah, 24th, everybody was here, because this is July, before everybody was out. So, does anybody have any modifications to either? Bob,
I have something for
go ahead.
July 10th,
Yeah,
32
yeah.
Mill Hill Road. Instead of, it opens up with the property owner did not arrive, I made a substitution for the word arrive and added attend. So the property owner did not attend.
So, did we do this at the beginning and at the end?
Yes.
So it's at the end that you want it said that he didn't?
And then at the end, I have the property owner for 32 Mill Hill Road failed to attend the meeting.
Yeah, I'm not even seeing it at
I
the
don't see it
end.
the second time.
Are you seeing it at the
No.
end?
No, I only. see
So
it.
I think we could just modify, I agree with you. We don't have it, so maybe what we say is after, to see if he arrives, we could put another sentence saying that the owner
Failed to attend the meeting.
failed to attend the meeting.
These are PDFs.
Here, oh, I have it. I have it. Okay, I've made that modification.
That's all I have for July 10th, thank you.
Anybody else have July 10th while I'm in it? Okay, and I'll take off the track changes. Okay, that one's ready. Okay, how about the 24th? Because we can have a motion for both at the same time.
I
Anybody?
have something, July 24th, 177 Countryside Drive. The third sentence, the instead of they, mitigation plan. It's just a typo.
Oh, the mitigation, I see it, I got it.
Thank you.
That's it?
That's all I had.
Anybody else? Okay. We can do a motion for both to be approved.
I move that we approve the minutes for July 10th, 2024, and July 24th, 2024.
Second?
Okay, Paul?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay. Catherine, are there any unforeseen items? I don't think we had any when we talked, but just in case?
No, nothing has come up since, no. we have
Okay.
nothing.
Then we just need one more motion.
The all-important, I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
Okay, Paul?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye. And it's adjourned. And thank you, everyone.